When you rise in the morning, before the world has a chance to whisper its worries into your ears, you must choose. Choose to take control of your day before the day takes control of you. You must begin not with your hands, but with your heart. Before you pick up your phone, before you check the news, before the emails, before the schedules and to-do lists pull you in 100 directions, you must bow your spirit before the one who gave you breathe. Prayer is not a ritual. It's not a routine. It's a recognition that you didn't wake up on your own, that the alarm clock didn't keep you alive through the night, that it was not your power, your plan, or your protection that sustained you. It was grace, it was mercy, and when you realize that, the only appropriate response is gratitude. Lord, I thank you. Thank you for another chance, another day, another opportunity to rise above what tried to bury me. You see, what you do in the morning sets the thermostat for your entire day. If you start in chaos, you'll carry that chaos into every meeting, every conversation, every decision. But when you begin in prayer and gratitude, you place a guard over your heart and a filter over your mind. Prayer doesn't mean the problems disappear, but it means you're not facing them empty. It means you've filled your tank before stepping into the journey. You've got to command your morning. You've got to set the tone before the world sets it for you. Because life will not ask permission to disrupt your peace. The text message will come. The unexpected bill will hit. The tension at work will rise. But if your spirit has already been strengthened, you won't bend so easily. You won't break. Because the weight of the world cannot crush a person who's already bowed to something greater. So many people are running through life on empty. Not because they don't work hard, but because they don't fill up. They respond to life rather than lead their life. When you begin with prayer, you become proactive. You build spiritual immunity. You develop clarity. You align your heart with heaven so you're not dragged by everything that happens on earth. Now hear me, this ain't about eloquence. You don't need to know all the right words. You don't have to sound like a preacher. All God wants is honesty. He wants communion, not perfection. Talk to him. Thank him. Lay your burdens down at his feet before the world lays its burdens on your back. Tell him your plans, but also listen for his, because it's in the stillness of the morning that God whispers strategy. He gives direction. He breathes vision into dry places. Gratitude in the morning shifts your perspective. You stop focusing on what you lack, and you start seeing what you have. And when you see what you have, you multiply it. Some people keep asking for more, but they haven't honored what they already received. Gratitude unlocks growth. You can't expand what you resent. You can't attract blessings while speaking curses over what you've been given. That morning moment, before the noise, before the pressure, before the push, it's sacred. It's where you learn how to be still and know that He is God. It's where you get the strength not just to fight, but to win. It's where battles are fought in silence and victories are claimed in advance. It's where you say, Lord, I don't know what today holds, but I know you hold me. And if you go before me, who can stand against me? Some of you have been trying to fix things in the natural that can only be aligned in the spiritual. You've been fighting stress with strategy, but you haven't fought it with surrender. You've been fighting depression with distraction, but not with devotion. You've been wrestling with your day instead of commanding your morning, and it's time to shift. It's time to begin again, not with anxiety, but with authority. Let your first words each day be filled with faith. Not complaints, not worry, not fear, but power. Let your heart overflow with thanksgiving even when everything isn't perfect. Because gratitude isn't about what's happening around you. It's about what's happening within you. When you choose to give thanks in the midst of uncertainty, you declare that your trust is not in circumstances, but in the Creator of all things. So before your feet hit the floor, let your knees hit the ground. Before you check the world, check in with the Word. Before you seek affirmation from people, get confirmation from God, and watch what happens to your day. Watch how things shift. Watch how your peace grows, your clarity sharpens, your strength multiplies. Because you didn't just wake up, You rose up. You didn't just get out of bed. You got into alignment, and that's how champions are built. That's how mountains are moved. That's how legacies are written. It starts in the morning. When your feet touch the ground in the morning, it's not just a signal that you've awakened. It's a divine opportunity to activate your body, your mind, and your momentum. You see, your body is not just a container, it is a vehicle of your purpose, and how you treat it determines how far you can go, how strong you can stand, and how long you can endure. That's why movement in the morning is not just about fitness, it's about faithfulness. It's about honoring the vessel that carries your calling. Some people wait to feel like moving, but champions don't move because they feel like it. They move because they understand the value of discipline. Discipline is doing what you don't want to do so you can become what you were born to be. When you start your morning with physical movement, whether it's stretching, walking, running, or just standing tall with intention, you're telling your body you will serve the mission today. You will align with the assignment. Because here's the truth, your body affects your mind. Your energy, your focus, your confidence, your clarity, it's all connected. A sluggish body produces a sluggish spirit. But when you move even a little, you shake off the fog, you release the tension, and you prime yourself to perform. God gave you this body, and the best way to honor him is not just through words, but through stewardship. The problem is, we often live life in reaction, reacting to pain, to pressure, to stress, and that reaction gets stored in your body. Your shoulders tighten, your chest closes in, your head hangs low. But when you begin your morning with movement, you're saying to yourself and to the enemy, "You don't get to hold me hostage today. I choose motion over stagnation. I choose momentum over excuses." And don't get it twisted. This isn't about how many push-ups you can do or how many miles you can run. This is about sending a signal to your soul that you are alive, awake, and available for purpose. When you stretch your limbs, you're also stretching your limits. When you breathe deeply, you're not just taking in air. You're taking in strength. You're resetting your nervous system so the storms of life don't shake you so easily. Let me tell you something. Every giant you will face today starts to shrink when you start to move. That heaviness you woke up with, it starts to lift when you start to walk. That cloud of doubt that's been hovering over your head, it clears when the blood starts flowing and your lungs open up to receive life. Because movement isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It is a form of worship, a way of saying, "God, I'm not wasting this gift you gave me. I'm not taking this day for granted." You don't need a gym. You don't need fancy equipment. All you need is a made-up mind. All you need is 10 minutes of motion that reminds your body who's in charge. Because too many people let how they feel dictate how they move. But success belongs to those who let how they move dictate how they feel. You may wake up tired, discouraged, uncertain, but if you move anyway, if you shake yourself out of stagnation, you'll find that what was trying to sit on you can no longer hold you down. Some of you are fighting depression, and you're trying to win it in your mind, but you've ignored the body. Depression lives in stillness. It feeds on isolation and inactivity. But movement is a weapon. It disrupts the cycle. It breaks the silence. It says, "I may not be okay, but I'm still here. And if I'm still here, there's still something for me to do." And don't you underestimate the power of consistency. You don't have to make a dramatic transformation overnight. But if you move a little bit each morning, you start building a rhythm, and rhythm creates results. That 5-minute walk becomes 10. That light stretching becomes strength training. That resistance becomes resilience. Because every day you move, you're telling yourself, "I'm not quitting. I'm not shrinking. I'm not dying in this bed of comfort. I'm rising." God gave you dominion, not just over the world, but over your own flesh. And when you take control of your body in the morning, you take control of your choices, your focus, your voice, your influence. You don't stumble through the day, you stride. You don't just show up. You show up strong. This is not about vanity. This is about vitality. This is about being available to your assignment. Because when your body is sharp, your spirit is freer to flow. You can hear God more clearly, serve others more powerfully, and show up for your family more fully. You can do what you were born to do without being slowed down by what you didn't take care of. So don't wait until the crisis forces you to care about your health. Don't wait until you break down before you build yourself up. Start now. Start this morning. One stretch, one walk, one squat, one step. Let your body know we're going somewhere today. We have purpose to pursue. We've got legacy to leave, and we won't do it sitting still. Because the body you discipline today will carry the destiny you walk in tomorrow. Before the world gets your attention, you must decide who gets your mind. Too many of us start the day by checking our phones, scrolling through noise, consuming chaos, and letting the voices of the world shape our thoughts before we've fed ourselves truth. But when you wake up, your mind is in its most impressionable state. It is tender, open, vulnerable, and whoever speaks first to your mind holds the power over your day. That's why you must be intentional about feeding your mind before you feed the world. You've got to guard your thoughts like a gatekeeper protects a city. Because thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to actions, and actions create destiny. What you allow into your mind first thing in the morning becomes the soil where your confidence, your clarity, and your courage either grow or wither. And if the first thing you do is let the opinions of people, the panic of headlines, or the noise of social media pour into your head, you've already surrendered your authority. Instead, choose to start your day with wisdom. Wisdom doesn't shout like the world does. It doesn't trend. It doesn't beg for attention, but it will build your life if you let it. Open the Word, read one passage, one principle, one proverb. Let the truth of God whisper louder than the lies of fear. Let your soul feast before your inbox floods, because a nourished mind becomes a focused life, and a focused life becomes a powerful force, and it doesn't stop at Scripture. Read something that grows you. Listen to something that lifts you. Speak something that sharpens you, because what you put in is what comes out. If you feed your mind junk, you'll respond with junk. But if you feed it strength, truth, inspiration, you'll start walking into rooms with peace that doesn't make sense and confidence that doesn't apologize. We live in a world full of distraction. A world that trains you to be reactive, to jump from one alert to another, to be pulled in 10 directions by 9 voices. And it's killing your focus. But when you discipline your morning to begin with knowledge and not notifications, you reclaim your power. You make an announcement to your soul, today I will not be led by noise, I will be led by truth. Some of you are struggling with anxiety, not because your life is chaotic, but because your mind is cluttered. You've let too many voices in. You've been feeding your mind negativity, scarcity, doubt, and now you're wondering why you feel overwhelmed, but your spirit cannot flourish on a diet of fear. Your peace cannot thrive when your first thoughts are pressure. That's why morning is sacred. Morning is where you decide whether your mind is a battleground or a sanctuary. You don't need to spend hours. Just be deliberate. Take 10 minutes to read a chapter that feeds your potential. Listen to a podcast that expands your thinking. Watch a clip that pours faith into your soul. This is not entertainment. It's education for your destiny. You don't need more distractions. You need direction. You don't need more noise. You need nourishment. You see, when your mind is fed with vision, you stop being a slave to urgency. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing approval and start walking in identity. You stop fighting small battles and start building a bigger future. Because your mind is no longer being tossed by every wave. You've anchored it in truth, and hear me. It matters what you allow in. Every word you consume either sharpens you or dulls you. Every idea either pulls you forward or holds you back. Every influence either builds your faith or feeds your fear. So why wouldn't you treat your mind like it's sacred territory? Why wouldn't you filter your intake the same way you filter your food? If you want to live a focused, fruitful, fulfilled life, you have to feed your mind like your future depends on it. Because it does. Everything starts in the mind. Every vision, every breakthrough, every innovation, every act of courage. It starts with a single thought. And when you control that thought, you change the direction of your entire life. So in the morning, before the world tries to shape your thinking, you shape it yourself. Speak life over your day. Read something that reminds you of your power. Meditate on truth until it sinks past your ears and into your bones. Let the wisdom of God and the insight of mentors soak into your consciousness. Let yourself be reminded, not of what the world says, but of what he says. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are anointed for this day. You don't wake up to wander. You wake up to win. But you can't win with a mind that's been poisoned by fear before 8 a.m. You can't build with a mindset that's already crumbling under pressure. So feed it first. Feed it wisely. Feed it intentionally, because the version of you that fulfills your purpose is the version that feeds their mind before the world does. And if you stay faithful to this, if you commit to feeding your mind every morning with truth, wisdom, and vision, you will look up months from now and not even recognize yourself, because greatness begins not with hustle, but with alignment. And alignment begins with the mind. Too many people wake up and step into their day without a plan, without a purpose, without a sense of direction. They let the day happen to them instead of taking authority over it. And when you live like that, when you just react to whatever comes, you live scattered, stressed, and spiritually empty. But when you wake up with intention, when you plan your day with purpose, you begin to walk in alignment with your assignment. You were never meant to just survive the day. You were meant to steward it. God didn't wake you up to wander aimlessly. He woke you up to move strategically, and that starts with a plan. Not a rigid, obsessive schedule that breaks the moment something unexpected happens, but a clear, focused vision that keeps your feet and your faith moving in the right direction. Vision without structure is just a dream. But when you write it down, when you define your priorities and set your course, you start transforming those dreams into decisions. You've got to get up in the morning and order your day, what needs to be done, what must be faced. What's the one thing that, if completed, would move your purpose forward? This is not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's about deciding before the distractions come. Because the truth is, life is going to throw interruptions your way. Emergencies will come. People will pull on you. Things will shift. But when you've already decided what matters most, you won't be easily shaken. You see, chaos loves an empty calendar. Confusion grows in an uncommitted mind. But when you start your day with a plan, you walk with clarity. You don't let every phone call derail you. You don't let every emotion dominate you. You don't lose hours scrolling or drifting because you've already decided where your energy is going. You have focused your time around your values, not around other people's emergencies, and don't think this is just about work or productivity. No, this is spiritual discipline. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. Why? So that whoever sees it can run with it. You can't run with what you haven't written. You can't pursue what you haven't prioritized. And you certainly can't grow what you haven't committed to. When you take the time each morning to sit down, reflect, and write out what your goals are, what your values are, what your intentions are, you begin to train your spirit for greatness. Purpose doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated, it's carved out, it's designed one decision at a time. You don't just stumble into a meaningful life. You plan it, step by step, moment by moment, day by day. The people you admire, the ones who seem consistent and powerful and intentional, they don't have more time than you. They've just chosen to be faithful with what they have, and planning with purpose also means learning to say no. Because every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. You can't do everything. You can't be everywhere. You can't please everyone, but you can align your schedule with your spiritual identity. You can choose the activities, conversations, and relationships that feed your soul rather than drain it. There's a wisdom in scheduling your obedience. Too many people say, "I'll pray when I have time. I'll read the Word when I get a moment. I'll take care of my health when things slow down." But life doesn't slow down. Life only responds to what you prioritize, so if it matters, make room for it. Put it in your plan. If it's important enough to your growth, it should be important enough to your calendar. And when you plan your day, leave space for grace. Leave room for God to move. Be flexible, but don't be aimless. Hold your plan in one hand and hold your trust in the other. That means if something shifts, if a door closes, if something unexpected comes, you're not shaken because you've already anchored your day in purpose. You may adjust, but you don't abandon your mission. This kind of intentional planning builds confidence. It eliminates the dread that comes from walking into a day blind. It helps you avoid the trap of busyness without progress, doing a lot, but going nowhere. Because at the end of the day, you weren't created to be productive only. You were created to be purposeful. You were created to make an impact. An impact doesn't come from motion. It comes from direction. So take 10 minutes in the morning, open your journal, reflect, write out your top 3 priorities, ask yourself, what does success look like today? Not in the eyes of people, but in the eyes of God. Review your goals, but more importantly, realign your heart. Because when your heart is right, your habits will follow. When your purpose is clear, your planning will have power. Stop letting life happen to you. Start happening to life, because every minute you live without intention is a minute you'll never get back. Time is a gift, but planning is how you honor that gift. Don't waste the morning, don't waste the day. Plan with purpose, move with vision, and trust God to guide your steps. That's how destinies are built, one focused day at a time. There is power in gratitude. There is transformation in thanksgiving. When you start your day with a heart full of gratitude, you shift your entire atmosphere. Gratitude is not just a polite feeling. It is a spiritual force. It reframes your mind, renews your perspective, and realigns your spirit. Too many people wake up already defeated. Before they even get out of bed, they're thinking about what's missing, what's wrong, what they don't have. But when you open your eyes and choose to give thanks, you stop looking at what's lacking and start recognizing what's already working in your life. Gratitude is not about ignoring your problems. It's about remembering your provision. It's about reminding your soul that even though you're not where you want to be, you're not where you used to be either. Gratitude puts your pain in perspective. It says, yes, I have battles, but I also have breath. I have bills, but I also have strength. I have struggles, but I also have another chance to rise. Every morning you wake up with breath in your body, you've got something to be grateful for. You see, gratitude is a gate. It's the gate to joy, the gate to peace, the gate to power. The Bible says, enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. That means if you want access to God's presence, to his wisdom, his favor, his strength, you enter by way of gratitude. You don't beg your way in. You don't cry your way in. You don't complain your way in. You enter by recognizing what he's already done. Gratitude changes your posture. It lifts your head. It straightens your spine. It makes you bold, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you're not alone. It takes your eyes off the storm and puts them back on the source, and that shift, that shift is where your strength begins. Some people say, I don't have anything to be thankful for. But that's a lie from the pit of hell. If you can feel pain, you're alive. If you can think, you still have purpose. If you woke up, you still have time. And if you still have time, you still have potential. Gratitude isn't about being blind. It's about being aware. It's about looking deeper than what you see and remembering that every day above ground is a gift. When you start your morning by giving thanks, even just 5 minutes, you're training your brain to notice the blessings instead of the burdens. You're rewiring your mindset to focus on what's possible instead of what's missing. And over time, That habit shifts your entire emotional and spiritual baseline. You become more resilient, more hopeful, more peaceful. Not because life got easier, but because your spirit got stronger. Gratitude also keeps you humble. It reminds you that you didn't get here by yourself. It reminds you that grace has covered you in ways you didn't deserve, that you were protected from dangers you didn't even see, that doors opened you weren't qualified for, that you've been sustained, preserved, lifted, forgiven, and that humility, it attracts favor. It keeps your heart clean. It keeps pride from poisoning your progress. And don't just be grateful when things are good. Be grateful on the hard days. Be grateful in the middle of the storm. That's when your gratitude becomes powerful. That's when it becomes a weapon. When you can say, Lord, I thank you even now, even in this pain, even when I don't understand, even when I feel empty. I thank you because I know you're still good and you're still God. That kind of gratitude shakes hell. That kind of praise confuses the enemy because he expects you to crumble, but instead you lift your hands. He expects you to curse God, but instead you whisper, thank you. That's when your spirit starts rising. That's when chains break. That's when clarity comes. Start your day by listing 5 things you're thankful for. Don't rush through it. Let your spirit speak. Thank him for your life. Thank him for strength. Thank him for the lessons. Thank him for the people who love you. Thank him for the grace that met you even in your mistakes. Thank him for another chance. Watch what happens when you make gratitude your starting place. You'll notice more beauty in the ordinary. You'll feel more peace in the chaos. You'll find joy in the journey because gratitude doesn't change your situation. It changes you in the situation. It's the lens that brings light into the darkest places. It's the anchor that keeps you steady in the storm. It's the fire that keeps your heart from growing cold. The most successful, grounded, and joyful people I know didn't get that way because life was easy. They got that way because they practiced gratitude. Every single morning, no matter what, and you can too. You can cultivate a spirit that wakes up and says, I don't know what this day will bring, but I do know who brought me this far, and I'm thankful. So before you check your phone, check your spirit before you scroll. Give thanks before you chase the world. Acknowledge the one who gave you the day. Gratitude will keep you grounded. Gratitude will keep you growing. Gratitude will keep you moving. Forward, upward, and onward, no matter what comes. In conclusion, the way you begin your morning determines the momentum of your entire life. These 5 habits are not just routines. They are the roots of a purposeful, powerful, and God-aligned existence. When you rise early, you're declaring that your time is valuable and your life has direction. When you feed your mind before the world does, you're telling every distraction, you don't own my attention. When you guard your thoughts, you're protecting the battlefield that determines victory or defeat. When you plan your day with purpose, you stop living in survival mode and start walking in divine strategy. And when you start with gratitude, you unlock joy, strength, humility, and peace before a single task begins. This is how you shift your life, not in one giant leap, but in small, intentional decisions every single morning. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to begin with purpose. If you take these habits seriously, you'll begin to notice something. Clarity will replace confusion. Confidence will overcome fear. Peace will rise above pressure, and purpose will silence the noise. The world is loud, the enemy is busy, but you are not powerless. You've been given the gift of a new day, and what you do with the first hour of that day is sacred. Build it with discipline, protect it with prayer. Fill it with focus, lead it with intention, because the version of you that God created, the focused, fearless, fruitful version, is not far away. It's already within you, waiting to rise, one morning at a time.